Ready, brew. Good. Good. Whew. Right. Good evening. Well, it's almost evening. It's 2 minutes away from evening, so we're almost there. But yeah, this is just going to be it's not going to be a long stream for me, but I was going to make a theory video regarding the final cutscene from 7.3, but I decided, you know what, no, I don't like doing content that doesn't last very long. I'm still standing by that stance, so I'm just going to do it in a live stream, and then depending where it goes, I might cut it up and upload it as a video itself while I work on my actual video, which is the script is complete. So we're just going to go over the entirety of that cutscene, and I'm going to examine some other factors that may influence it, may not influence it, and we'll go into theory mode regarding where this may lead us. There's a number of paths that may lead us, but we'll access a bunch of legacy information as well to try and put some pieces together. Ralph, hello there. I've just been wandering around now for the last few minutes, and I've noticed they've made some changes to the soul supply area. Like, this NPC has had her dialogue changed. So you can see this facility, it will henceforth help administer the memory restoration initiative. So I can see they did things like that, but there's still soul cells lying all over the place. Like, I kind of wish they went a step further, like shutting these things down. You don't need them anymore. This dialogue with this NPC here was overlooked. So she's still asking about the policy on distributing soul cells. And I'm just like, they don't do that anymore, so why are you asking? So this was overlooked, or they just decided not to care, but there's still stuff lying around. I love the fact there's a Roomba behind her. I'm only noticing that now, actually. There's actually a Roomba. I am literally just noticing that right now. I did not know that was there. That is so cool. See, it's the little things that make it, you know? The Roomba is one of them. It's going around, look, it's going around her steppy step. And off it goes. That's cool, that's cool. I didn't even notice that. I'm glad I noticed that. I'm assuming that's his charge port, do you know that? I kind of wanted to go into his charge port now, do you know that? Come on, do it. Go into your charge port. Go on. Go on, little guy. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, cleany, cleany. There you go. Being around. Yeah, your charging port is just ahead. You can do it. No? Aw, I thought he was gonna. Oh, maybe it's not too late. No, oh, no, never mind. He's doing that. He's going back around. Never mind. still, it's funny. I like stuff like that. I like the little things like that. Right. I'm just getting my bearings now. I'm just warming up a bit, just make sure I'm shaking off the cobwebs. It's been a long day in work. I spent a long time on the stream last night. I was exhausted after that, and I didn't even get to sleep for a couple of hours. I just tossed and turned. Has any of the dialogue over here changed? Anything else? Processing applications for memory restoration and consulting with those considering the procedure. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so a lot of stuff has actually moved on, but a lot of the NPCs that were background art almost is unchanged. So yeah, unfortunately. It's unusual. I find this unusual, to be honest. The fact that everybody's literally here standing around. Like, this is the sort of thing you'd see halfway during your quest, but they're going to be standing here for the next, like, 4 or 5 months. So it's unusual. Yeah, they're doing their investigations and stuff, so I guess that's to be expected. But yeah, I'm just gonna wander around for a few more minutes and then we'll get started looking at the cutscene. I kind of want to check out the residential. I want to see how our favorite family is doing. Let's see. She's still the same, sipping on her coffee, watching the world go by. Nothing against that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I kind of want to see how our favorite family is doing, so let's check on that. There used to be people there. Did I enter the wrong building? I think I entered the wrong building. I did. I think I did enter the wrong building. Sorry. Okay, let me go back. I'll be actually interested to see if there's been any other changes to Solution 9 now that because this is how I expect Solution 9 will actually remain for perpetuity. It doesn't seem to have changed that much, to be honest. I kind of expected a few more changes, but it doesn't look like any of that has happened. Although a lot of NPCs have disappeared. Well, we'll check that in a second. The notion of going to the Northern Waste has a lot of potential. You're right. Oh, look, she's up and about. I considered moving outside the barrier to keep Milos away from the lightning, but in the end we decided to stay. Even though he'll need regular treatments, he said that there will be things he wanted to do here in Alexandria. I'm just happy to help him live out his dreams no matter where we are. He needs regular treatments. That's interesting. I thought that it was a once-off sort of thing. So maybe the effects of the effects of lightning are actually cumulative. Maybe they'll build up in people. Maybe he has a weaker immune system. Maybe that's the reason. So he needs regular treatments to kind of stabilize his aether. Interesting. But they know how to do that now, so that's fine. Right, so Will, this notion of going to the Northern Waste has much potential. What all would you like to see? There's Northern Waste, there's a couple of Northern Waste, to be honest. Let's look at the map here just before we do anything else. We'll just do a really quick thing. But in terms of Northern Waste, there's a couple of places that are considered Northern Waste. The primary candidate for Northern Waste, however, is this region here, which is called the Blind Frost. So this is the location that MSQ mentioned. Do you remember when he started spouting about different locations that we should explore? Blind Frost in Northards North was one of the ones he said. So it makes you think that it has some significance to him. Maybe he knows more about it. But the fact that he's literally saying that means that it's not just a wasteland. It means there's something there to be found. Maybe there's something... I'd compare this to Antarctica. Perhaps there's something below it that maybe worth venturing into. But there is northern areas that we haven't explored either, like there's the island chain far north of Charlian. We haven't explored yet, but this is supposed to be a very inhospitable region as well. So this coastline here of the far north actually gets battered a lot. And it's the same down here as well. This is actually a very inhospitable area as well, and it gets battered on a constant basis near Abalta's spine. But I'd say in terms of northern waste, it has to be blind frost. Because if you look at the map in general, when it comes to snowy regions, like, that's the one thing FF14's Aetheris severely lacks: snowy climates and snowy regions. Coerthas doesn't count. Coerthas never used to be a snowy region, don't forget. So Coerthas was turned into that by the Calamity, but otherwise, like, it was a pretty normal kind of borderline tropical climate in Eorzea before the Calamity. The only real snowy region we have is Garlemald, which is in a realm of eternal snow, essentially. But other than that, there's no other really snowy regions. Like, there's not a very southern region as far as we're aware. Keep that in mind. As far as we're aware, there's no major snow region down here, although it's entirely possible there may be. But for all we know, Mericidia might have a snowy region at the very south of it, because it is very far south, don't forget. So this might be a very icy region. Yeah, you're right. So I'd say this is kind of like going to be a split between normal climate, and then when you go down to the far south of it, it's going to be very, like, inhospitable. And I'd imagine if there's any dragons actually still living in Mericidia, or maybe they returned, they might be down here. But we'll come back to that now in a minute. So I think it's time we get to the cutscene now. So let's head back to my house real quick, or my FC house. We'll look at this scene again. I'll take a few shots of the cutscene and we'll examine it a bit closely. I haven't done any analysis. I was far too busy today, and I was frankly exhausted after yesterday's stream. So I haven't really done any of the research yet. So I'm going to be engaging in that with all of you. Okay. Alright, so let's look at the cutscene. Okay. Dawn Trail. Post Dawn Trail. Promise of Tomorrow, and it should be the final cutscene. Okay, let's go. Sweating bullets, look at him. And that flash. That flash took me by surprise.
This is absurd. I have neither heart nor lungs. I was overconfident. Prudent course would have been to wait until I'd calculated an insurmountable advantage. A rash decision. One perhaps influenced by the others and their developments. But no matter. Learn from this setback, and next time... Next time? How much time and effort did I pour into this master plan?
He kind of sounds like Van Daniel, doesn't he?
I had it. I had it. At long last, I was to open a new path. Those imbeciles and their damnable heroics. Detected the stench of failure already, have you? Such a keen sense of smell. Yes, I will give my report, as is protocol. Be sure our winter peers are apprised of the details.
Okay, so I recorded that as well. I think the recording should have went through okay, so give me a second. I want to go over a few bits of that dialogue. Or actually, do you know what? We can do that without doing that. So let's look at the dialogue here in my chat here, right? So this is absurd. So he's literally actually let's do it over the video. It's easier over the video because I can't really see pictures of him while I'm doing this. Alright, where's my footage? Here we go. Okay. So let's look at his dialogue. Some of his dialogue gives you hints about his actions. Bullets. Look at him. So and that flash, that flash took me by surprise. I should have shut up through this whole thing. So the first thing, this is absurd. I have neither heart nor lungs. This is essentially an involuntary response from his own memories. I mean, he's not flesh and blood anymore, of course, but his body is made up to mimic a humanoid form. And he's only doing this because whatever emotions he has are just emulating through his body, essentially. So he saw he came so close to being deleted, and his body's just, it's an involuntary response from his own form, being reflected through the simulacrum that he's presenting of his own body. So he doesn't have a heart nor lungs, but his emotional state is still there. So he's still capable of having an emotional state through the fact that he's only memories and aether. So that's all we can essentially make of that. But it's the next piece of dialogue that's interesting, right? So keep watching for a second, right?
This is absurd. I have neither heart nor lungs. I was...
Right, hang on. I need to get out of here because this music is starting to grate on me. It's not grating on me, it's just, it's very loud. I could shut it off, but yeah, it is what it is. Right. I was overconfident. The prudent course would have been to wait until I had calculated an insurmountable advantage. So he rushed his decision to essentially go after the key, and he didn't account for every eventuality, and in the end what ended up being the deciding factor was Fiend snapping the populace of Alexandria out of their enthrallment, even a little, which caused Necron to weaken, which caused us to be able to defeat Necron, and then Lamity breaks the shield, and then we take our sweet time casting our spell in order to break his core. So he lost, and he's pissed off about it. Fine, I guess, but that's still nothing of any concern either. So he's essentially just beating himself up. He lost his big game there, so that's fine. But it's what he says next is interesting.
Overconfident. Prudent course would have been to wait until I'd calculated an insurmountable advantage. A rash decision. One perhaps influenced by the others and their developments.
Right, I need to shut the music off. Damn it. We need something quieter. Yeah, that's quieter. That's much quieter. Right, now, you might have just caught it there by the dialogue. A rash decision, one perhaps influenced by the others and their developments. So who are the others, and what developments are they making? So it seems that he's involved with a third party, which we now know apparently involves the Asians. But apparently they've been making developments which caused him to make a rash decision to try and go after the key before he was ready. influenced by their decisions. So that's the good question. So what are the others planning? What are the developments, and how does it tie to us, and how does it tie to the key? We have no way of knowing that, but we know there's more than one person. There's others. He's in active communication with whoever these others are. They're making developments, and they directly influence his thought process, they influence his actions, and they influence the plans that he himself has. So it makes me think that his need to go after the key, his need to connect to other reflections, is all to serve the ends of whichever organization he's actually really a part of. We're going to assume preservation. It's not preservation. We already know what preservation is, but this seems to be something entirely different. Now, we're going to assume that this all did feed into the Ascians' original plans. Is it entirely possible that it's... maybe he works for Lindblom? I suppose. I mean, don't forget, Lindblom is the one that triggered the weapon of the Storm Surge. But just think about it. A rash decision. So he made a rash decision, one perhaps influenced by the others and their developments. So what do we think about that? So the others are making developments. Apparently they're making very quick progress. And this caused him to go after the key before he was ready. So I imagine in 7.4 we're going to see the result of whatever this is. And something major is going to happen. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough data to put together an idea of what this development, what the developments are, and who the group of it is. All we know is it's him. The only two characters we know are him and an Ascian. And we don't even know what type of Ascian this person is. So, what do we make? It could very well be Dudalafon the Inventor, which is the Capricorn. Is Dudalafon the Inventor, though? Is that what he's always been referred to as? Hang on. We need to do that as well. So, so I need a chart of the Overlords. So, Overlords. There we go. Oh, go away, ads. Okay, Dudalafon. Dudalafon. So what was his role again? It doesn't say his role. Oh, sorry. As the appraiser of architecture and patron of invention. Oh, yeah. So he's the appraiser of architecture and patron of invention. Yeah. Okay. Others could be referring to successful rejoinings. A rash decision by the others and their developments. I don't think so. He seems to be referring to individuals rather than events. He wouldn't refer to events as others. No, that doesn't sound right. Maybe the other reflections are working on something similar to preservation, knowledge he gained from Ascians, and it's a kind of arms race. Arms race? It all seems to be stemming around the Ascians, but let's continue on. Let's put some more pieces together here. Oh, I need to lower this down. Jeez. Why is this music so loud? Okay.
But no matter. Learn from the setback and next time.
Learn from the setback and next time. So he still has a desire, or apparently his group needs to go after the key. He's pissed off about it. And look, you can see this, like, this is very emotional. This is not something we've normally seen from him. He's seemed entirely stoic the entire time we've known him. Even when he tries to kill us, fails to kill us, he's still just an emotional. It's just like, Oh, it didn't work. Okay. He's like a Vulcan. And now he's just dropped his bloody emotional suppression, and now he's just going like this.
Next time?
How much time and effort did I pour into this master plan? Master plan. So, that's the question. Is he referring to his own plan of getting the key back? Or is he referring to the plan? By saying I think in his regard to being a member of whatever organization this is, his part to play would be his plan. But the master plan is the overall plan that everybody's involved with. How much time and effort did I pour into this master plan? So he had a part to play in the master plan, and apparently he failed. So he failed in that, and now he's probably contemplating, am I even able to achieve it next time? But he might be talking about, how much time and effort did I pour into this master plan? He might be referring to overall. He might be referring from the point of preservation when it originally existed, when he was still alive, to the point that he turned himself into an endless, to the point where he was awoken and continued his work. But it makes you wonder how long this plan has been going on. So that's making me think that it's actually directly tied to the Ascians' actual overall plans. Because don't forget, we only ever see the end result of the Ascians' plans. We don't see the planning stages, we don't see the preparation, we don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes. And we know a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. For a prime example, don't forget Elizabeth's plan to stoke the fervor of light on the first by making everybody believe that they're warriors of light and stoking that kind of faith in the warrior of light. He had a lot of his underlings running around the first, stoking this fervor in the minds of the people. And Thancred was also going on about this. He said there was agents of the Ascians all over the first, stoking this kind of behavior. What if the Endless Soul stuff was a smaller piece of the larger Ascian plot, maybe involving fucking with the Ethereal Sea? I wouldn't be surprised. However, most of these plans, if they were already in motion hundreds of years ago, were thrown entirely off the rails when the Unsundered were killed, and when Hydaelyn is now gone, and Zodiac is now gone as well. So it's still making me think, is a rejoining even possible? Like, I'm still half and half at the moment of whether or not a rejoining is even possible now that Zodiac is gone. Because I think that Zodiac was actually a critical component of rejoinings being possible in the first place. I'm not even sure they're possible without him. Although part of it was apparently possible by Alexandria partly rejoining to the first thanks to the key. But that was a very unique phenomenon. Now, let's continue.
Time and effort did I pour into this master plan?
He kind of sounds like Van Daniel, doesn't he?
I had it. I had it. At long last.
I had it. I had it. At long last, I was to open a new path. Now think about that for a second. I had it. I had it. At long last, I was to open a new path. The Ascians don't need to open a new path. They are free to travel through the rift and travel to the other reflections whenever they want. They can do that anyway. They don't need a key. And they already have their own mechanics to trigger rejoinings. They don't need to go through the use of a key. They don't need to go to the use of siphoning aether from other reflections. They don't need any of that. They already had their plan for the Ardor in place. So this seems to fall entirely outside those plans. At long last, I was to open a new path. It makes me think that the new path is actually going beyond our star and the reflections. Because don't forget, as I just said, the Ascians can travel between reflections without issue. And we can kind of do it ourselves due to current mechanics. The key could also be used to merge part of reflections. That's true, and it was used to merge Alexandria into the source. That's correct. Although it was a bit unstable, they still can't fully use the key properly. At long last I was to open a new path. It makes me sound like they're aiming for something beyond. And a popular theory at the moment seems to be that we're aiming for the far beyond the stars, because side content is already leaving our own solar system behind in order to venture to other stars to strip mine them, essentially. Who's to say that the current storyline, the main story, won't actually do the same? A new path could be a new plan or ideal not connected to the Ardor or Zodiac. That's true, Pedro, you're right about that. Right, let's continue.
Last I was to open a new path.
Those imbeciles and their damnable heroics, that essentially is us. So we pissed them off, obviously. So we threw a wrench into his plans. He started to get very emotional, but doesn't he remind you of Fan Daniel? Like, I've said this like 3 times now, but he really does. He seems entirely unhinged. For a person who is all memory and apparently just an etheric creation, he's a very emotional being. It's definitely the hair. Why would it be the hair? Oh, it's just because the hair is triggering me into thinking he's Fan Daniel? Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Imbeciles.
This makes me think of a revisit to Final Fantasy V and the first 3 Dragon Quests. Just a vibe I am getting.
And their damnable
5 is a weak
heroics.
spot for me, unfortunately. I have to look that up. And here comes our Ascian friend. Now, there's not really much I can say about this guy. My current idea is that Azem found a way to do the rejoining in a safer way with the help of the key, where no one needs to die for it, like what happened with Part of Alexandria and the Source. The question is, why would Azem do that? I mean, we know he didn't stand with Hydaelyn. He didn't stand with the Convocation. He stood in the middle, but triggering rejoinings would be going directly against Hydaelyn's plans and kind of going towards the Ascian's plans. But he would have been gone by the time the Ascians were even created. It's an interesting idea, though. Now, let's look at the Ascian. And we're assuming he's an Ascian. He's dressed like an Ascian. The only thing we haven't seen is the front of his... he's dressed like an Ascian. And we're assuming it's a he as well. Can't really tell. What do we think? What do we think? See, the thing is, all the Ascians dress the same. They have slight variations in their looks, primarily the Unsundered, but the Sundered Ascians all look the same, and you can only differentiate them based on their masks. But we haven't seen their masks, so we just don't know.
Detected the stench of failure already, have you?
Detected the stench of failure already, have you? Such a keen sense of smell. He's obviously he has a personal relationship with whoever this is. He's able to talk to them just so nonchalantly, just like, oh, you're here now, you know I failed, sorry about that.
Keen sense of smell. Yes.
This doesn't tell us anything either. All the Unsundered Ascians had armor the same look and design as this. This is the side of their armor that we're looking at. So it doesn't tell us anything, unfortunately, because they all have the same type of armor. It tells us that it wasn't an Ascian minion, so it's definitely an overlord. But which one?
Yes, I will give my report.
Yes, I will give my report, as is protocol. Protocol suggests an organization. One that is well established, one that has its own rules, its own policies, its own protocols. So whoever he's working for with the Ascians, there's obviously an organization in place. I don't think the Ascians were very much about protocol, to be honest. They mainly met up, discussed their plans. They didn't really talk about protocols. It's Organization 13. That's a good idea to think about, yeah. Finas said that Azem refused to join and went his own. Yeah, he went his own way, but we still don't know exactly what Azem's plan was. I just remembered when we pulled out the Azem crystal against Selenia, Calyx said, there it is, but why would he say that? He couldn't have seen it during the Interphos because of Queen Eternal briefing. I think he was mainly talking about the magic rune that turned in place. It was very similar to the one utilized by the key, which is why the key showed Azem's symbol as well. It's directly related to Azem. I think he was talking about the power signature. That's why he said the crystal. The crystal is very new.
As is protocol.
As is protocol.
Be sure our winter...
Now listen to how he says this for a second, right? So the line is, be sure our winterer peers are apprised of the details. But listen to how he says that.
Be sure our winterer peers are apprised of the details.
Be sure our winterer peers are apprised of the details. So he says peers, so he's not saying be sure our superiors are apprised of the details. So apparently he doesn't want to talk about detail, or apparently there is no superior that needs to be informed. You wouldn't talk to your boss that way. So whoever this Ascian is that's facing him, they're apparently on the same level by the way they actually just talk back to each other. Be sure our winterer peers are apprised of the details. So his peers are apparently working on developments of their own, as we already saw at the start of this conversation. They're working on plans of their own. These plans are apparently progressing so quickly that they forced his hand in order to try and get the key in order to further facilitate his part in the master plan. He's failed, of course, but he's saying now, be sure our winterer peers are apprised of the details regarding his failure, but specifically regarding what the key is, where the key is, and what the current status of the key is. Or whether or not it was used. So, this word is interesting as well. We looked this up yesterday, but let's look this up again. So, winterer, it's a very unique word, winterer. So we looked this up yesterday, but I'm going to do this again. So, winterer. Winterer, noun. Specifically, a winter resident or visitor. First known use in 1635, the meaning derived above. First known use of winter was 1635. Okay, that's fine. Not really much from the Webster dictionary. Winterer meaning. I mean, the AI is giving me more information than anything else. What's the Oxford dictionary say about winterer? Fuck. I'm not subscribing to the Oxford dictionary, okay? And yeah, of course, they don't give you any bloody information. Like, screw you, Oxford dictionary. So, a noun. Biology. Any animal, but especially any bird that visits or resides in a specific region or a specific location during the winter. So, it's essentially a winter or a bird. For example, a bird will sense that winter is coming. It'll migrate south for the winter. It's a winterer migration. And then it will go back to its other location. Be sure our winterer peers are apprised of the details. So be sure our migrated peers are apprised of the details. It could have another meaning though as well. It could mean... Because don't forget, when Ascian souls, it's mainly for the Unsundered. When their physical hosts die, their soul returns into the rift and they rest in the rift until they need to actually reincarnate again. You never know how accurate the English translation is, but alas, I don't know any Japanese. I've been studying Japanese actually. But let's actually have a look at that as well. Maybe it's entirely possible it wasn't translated properly. So let's look at this in Japanese and see if it actually gives us anything. So let's go back and look at the cutscene again, right? maybe it'll tell us something else. Because the English translations of FF14, they like to use Old English when it comes to their translations. Yeah, I'd like to see what Japanese... So we're going into native mode, essentially, for how the script was originally written. It was originally written in Japanese, and then it was translated into English, French, German, yada, yada, yada. So let's go back here real quick. Do I have to relog in order to actually do this? How do I do this again? I think it was UI settings, was it? No? What was that again? Maybe it was system settings. Graphics settings? No. Themes? It was other settings, wasn't it? Cutscene language, Japanese. Okay. So let's try this in Japanese. Although it's going to translate into English again, so we're not going to get much out of it, but I'll try and listen for some of the words. But I'm still just learning. I've pretty much just finished learning hiragana and katakana, so I'm just still learning the kanji now at the moment, so I'm not going to be much use. I should have put the language. I should have put the text language into Japanese. You know that. That probably would have allowed me to translate it. That's good, Zeleng. Zekenda. Welcome. Okay, so his voice is a lot different than Japanese, isn't it?
Baka-baka-shi. Shinzou mo hai mo nai darou ni. Jibun no yosoku o kashin shi sugita. Motto attoutekii na chikara no sa o tsukete kara idomu beki datta.
He's talking too fast. Damn it.
らしくもない。他の連中の動向に煽られでもしたか。
No, I can't. I'm still too early in my own studies to actually recognize Japanese by the spoken word. I can read it. How do I change the text into bloody English? Or to Japanese? How do I change it into just... how do I change the bloody language? I think I have to do this outside the game, don't I? Maybe it's general. I think this is going to require me to relog the game. Dang it. It has to be somewhere here. It's not accessibility. I've already done this. How do I change the subtitles into Japanese? I want to, like, specifically, I want to change it into kanji. Dang, how do you do that? I might have to relog. Hang on. Yeah. F14, change language. Oh, I have to change it in the launcher before logging in. Okay, give me a sec. So, I have to do it in the launcher. Give me a second here. Okay, so I need to run F14 again. Okay. Excuse me, what? And okay. What do you guys think of that new cat mount? You know, the big giant one? And they call it a shag cat? I think that was definitely a mistranslation. Just calling it a shag cat. I know, I'm not that funny. Okay, let's see. Theme. No, it's not theme. No, it's not that either. Come on. It has to be one of these bloody ones. Config, theme settings, system information, backup. Where's the language? Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's down the bottom. Okay. There we go. Okay, that'll help. So, let's see. She to. Is it mashite, I think? Okay. Right, let's try this in Japanese and see what we can do. Right, I'm going to record the cutscene as well, mainly just so I want to get the translations. So if I can't translate it myself, I'll be able to translate it online. But it'll come through the game. Actually, no, it'll come through the game logs as well. So never mind that. So that's it. Okay. Okay, character selection. So Kiyaso Maru, I think. Kiyaso Maru, maybe. And a lot of this is kanji that I haven't. So Japanese is very difficult to learn. Like, I can recognize the hiragana and the katakana in this sentence. However, the kanji, there's like 9,000 character for kanji to describe elements and words that are not typical, but only like 3,000 that are used on a daily basis. So it's difficult. All right. So good thing is I can navigate the game without, but I can kind of navigate it with yeah, I can kind of understand the words. But a lot of this is kanji that I haven't learned yet, so. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we're going down to this final cutscene here, which is kanji no shi da, I think. And su no. No, that's not no. Okay, never mind. I'm still not 100% on my katakana, so unfortunately. Right, so let's see this cutscene. Let's get a full log, and then let's translate the log as best we can. So, wait, what the hell is this? Wait, that's wrong. Did I do the wrong one? Oh, I did the wrong one. Okay, never mind. Okay, so we're going over here. So this is Kashi to Sat something so 7. I really need to pick up on my studies. All right, let's see what he says here. I'm mainly just looking for the chat log more than anything else. We'll just go through the translations there. We'll see what they say for Winterer. It'll probably be Visitor. It'll be a kanji symbol at least. So that might give us an inkling. Because I know for a fact a lot of Japanese words don't translate very well into English. So they had to pick a different word that probably meant something similar to the Japanese word that was originally scripted in order to describe it in English. So
okay,
na. Okay. She's getting to the other part. I always get lost on the subtle pronunciations of hiragana.
どれだけの
Although,
労
to be
力を
fair,
払った計画だったと
all
思
of
っ
this
て
is
るんだ
actually,
よ。
most of this is actually in katakana, which is interesting.
畜生、やっと新しい道が開けるはずだったのに。あの英雄
He
風情
sounds
が。
like a real anime character here, doesn't he? Alright.
俺の負けをもう嗅ぎつけたわけか。まったく、鼻がいいことだ。
Still sounds the same as
いい
its
よ、
original English
報告
translation.
はする。そういう
I
決
think he
まり
said
だ
he
か
had a
ら
keen
ね。
sense of smell.
せいぜい伝えてやれ。ウィンタラーの面々に。
Okay, there was a word there I didn't recognize, and I think that's the word in question. That was like, I couldn't see it in time. Hang on. Come on. Finish over. Here we go. All right, let's see. I think that's the one. It's this last sentence here that we want, but I think that's the... Because don't forget, the Japanese words go backwards. So they're reading this way rather than reading this way. So... I don't think it's a direct... Winterer seems like a very strange word, but it seems like an English word. But let's do a quick... This might not be perfect either. The translation functions on Google is not perfect. But we're just going to do this because... Oh, yeah, okay, it is. So Winterer is this kanji symbol here. So it's this one here. Or no, it's not. Okay. Oh, it's probably this one, is it? Hang on. It's a combination of, yeah, it's a combination of two symbols. So it's... Yeah, that's... This translator is butchering the bloody kanji. Hang on. It keeps changing the kanji between hiragana, katakana, and actual kanji. Give me a second. A bloody expert in Japanese would probably be able to do this much better than I do. Oh, let's be fair. I have a Japanese friend. I'll probably just bounce it off him. They're not actually brackets. They're actual different symbols, I think. So I want the original translation, which is this one. So this is the actual game translation. So yeah, so this looks like a combination of these three symbols here. So this is ni, this is ma ni, yeah, so ma ni, and whatever this kanji is. So something ma ni. Well, what the hell does that mean? Okay. Japanese translate. Is there an actual better translate? Oh, the other way around. Oh, I need the actual full text. Give me a second. I should ask my Japanese friend for Winterfell. Fuck off. Seriously. Stupid bloody things. I hate AI. Fucking AI. Okay, let's try this one. No, switch that. I want the Japanese, I think. There we go. Translate. Make sure to tell them, to the members of Winterer. Oh, hang on. So he's not saying... Be sure our Winterer peers have apprised the details. Somebody said in the comments there a few minutes ago, why is Winterer capitalized? Winterer is the name of the group. Be sure our Winterer peers are apprised of the details. So that's their group's name. They're called Winterer. Okay, so that's it. That's where it was kind of lost. So the group's name is Winterer, but that's a weird name. Winterer. Why would a group call themselves Winterer? Winterer, and we already know, we've already gone into what Winterer means. So if we take Winterer as the group's name, and we know Winterer is taking in the form of, like, for example, a biological creature or like a bird will migrate according to the seasons. Are these some sort of migrators? Are they somebody who came from somewhere else? Did they migrate from one location to the other? Is this like... I'll go out there with the tinfoil hat on. Is this some sort of like alien incursion? Are these people, our Winter appears or apprised of the details? Are these people from some far off star that have actually arrived on Aetheris? Is that what this is? Are we facing some sort of incursion? So maybe these people are extraterrestrial or extra dimensional in origin. Like, oh, that's interesting now. I like that. Make sure to tell them, to the members of Winterer. I'm sensing a theme as well. We've been exploring space for a while now. Are we going to come across something interesting? Well, I like where this is going. I like where this is going. I really like where this is going. Be sure our Winterer peers are apprised of the details. Be sure our group Winterer are apprised of the details. Winterer. I want to look up that word a bit more. So let's continue looking at that word real quick, right? Winterer. Is there any other definitions of it? One who or that which passes the winter in a specified place or manner. Specifically, an ox or cow kept to feed on a particular place during winter. Any animal, especially a bird, that visits or resides in a specified location during the winter. Okay, that's an interesting way of putting it. If you put your cows inside for the winter, that's essentially a winterer. Just so they survive the seasons. And it's something done on farms all over the world. Whenever winter comes and the weather gets very cold, the cows are brought in and they're not let out until the spring. One who passes the winter in a specified location or manner. So are they is this group a group that has been spending their time hibernated, maybe sleeping somewhere? That's true, actually, what 4MB just said there. This might have been a group from the Night Reflection that actually hibernated themselves away from the Storm Surge in order to survive it. So maybe they did that to escape the Storm Surge. This Ascian, I've been speculating, I haven't said this yet actually, but I've been speculating regarding this Ascian's identity. We don't know exactly which Ascian it is, but I feel that this Ascian was the one who was assigned to the Night Reflection in order to cause discourse on that star to change its alignment towards the element of lightning. Now don't forget, the Overlords were the ones assigned to the Reflections, while the Unsundered looked after Aetheris. So while the Unsundered manipulated events on Aetheris as part of the rejoinings, the Overlords were assigned to specific stars in order to destabilize civilizations there, to change the alignment of those stars towards the elemental alignment that they required. We saw it, for example, with Wyrm. She was the one who was assigned to the 13th Reflection, and she did her job, unfortunately, a bit too well, but she was the first one to do it. And then they all started following a different path and started doing their process more slowly. Now, I'd say it's most likely that an overlord was assigned to the night reflection in order to push its alignment towards lightning. And I said this before because that star is heavily aligned towards lightning, more than it should be. To the point where, like, there's lightning everywhere. So that means it's heavily aligned, perfect place for rejoining to happen. But suppose he was still there and then the Unsundered were gone. So it might be that he didn't have any other way of actually continuing on. And maybe he decided to winter away the storm surge somewhere else. Maybe still on the same star, but isolated away. And Calyx was somehow involved with this as well. But he was still residing, or is still residing, on the Night Reflection. Don't forget, the Night Reflection is still there. The only thing that was transported from the Night Reflection was the civilization of Alexandria inside the dome. So right now on the Night Reflection, there's a big dome-shaped hole where Alexandria used to be. But it's still a reflection that's heavily aspected to lightning. Is it possible? No, that wouldn't be it. I was going to say that it's possible that Ascian was trapped on the Night Reflection, but I don't think that's it. We have seen that the overlords, the Sundered Ascians, have the ability of passing through the rift. For example, we saw Nabrialis do it. He took Minfilia from the Rising Stones into the rift to the Chrysalis, or the whatever that hub is called, or where they have the Zodiac statue, which is in the middle of the void. So they have the ability to transverse the void. It's entirely possible they can't do that on their own. Maybe the Unsundered helped them with that. I don't know. We don't see any evidence of that. But I like this. I like the fact that we've uncovered now that the name of this group is Winterer. Be sure our Winterer peers are apprised of the details, so we know Winterer is the name of the group. And we can infer what their intentions or what their current status is by that name. I was an Ascian, I was in the middle of the storm surge, I would have pieced out to another reflection. To be fair, like, the overlords, as far as I'm aware, scattered to the four winds the moment that the Unsundered were gone. I mean, we were all under the impression that the other Sundered Ascians were actually killed by Fandaniel, because none of them stepped in to stop him from his plans, essentially, which were against the overall plans of the Ascian organization. None of them tried, at least on screen, none of them tried. So we were all under the impression that Fandaniel probably killed them, because none of them actually stepped in. And we don't know how many of them are actually still active. It could be how he's wintering on the source. Well, what did the Ascians do in the 13th and the 1st when things went badly? I don't think they escaped, even if they could have. I think Wyrm escaped. If she didn't escape, she was remade. But I think she escaped. Because the overall topic gives us the impression that she was still aware of her failures on the 13th. So I think it was actually her. So I think she actually did nope out of that reflection before it fell to the void. I kind of want to translate the rest of this as well, right? Let's see if there's any other nuggets in this that we missed, right? So we'll go back to this translator here. So let's translate the entirety of his dialogue. So this is his name. See, it's like his name in Japanese is Karyu Ke. No, Karyu. Sorry, it's Karyu Kesu. Karyu Kesu. Karyu sorry. It's, hang on, I'll type it out. It's Karyukesu. I think that's Calyx's name, Karyukesu, in Japanese. Yeah, I'm fairly certain what that translation is, Karyukesu. Okay, so Calyx, ridiculous, without a heart or lungs. All right, let's format this. Let's try and format this properly. Just so I can properly read it. I just don't want to be mixing all the context together. Okay. Oh, no, that you should be up here. There we go. You should be down here. You should be down. Nope. You should be down here. You should be down here. You should be here. Transit. Or is it just going to compact them together? It still is. Okay. Yeah, it's again the R and L's aren't. L is not a letter in the Japanese alphabet. That's the reason. And I don't think R is either. So that's why the translations go a bit weird, because L doesn't exist in the Japanese vocabulary. Like if you look at katakana and hiragana, there's not an L inside any of their pronunciations. Ridiculous. Wait, why is this translation entirely different now? The hell? Translate that again. Oh, this thing doesn't have a key. This thing doesn't have a clue. Geez, these translators are horrible. Is there a different? No. Shit. Yeah, these translators suck. I really need to step up my game and start just learning my kanji, just so I can start doing these translations myself. Yeah, maybe this will translate it, will it? Might need to feed it small chunks. Yeah, that's a good point. I might have to feed it one sentence at a time in order to translate this. Well, it translated it into hiragana and katakana. I mean, that's fine. Fuck, I'm not reading all this. No, there's still a lot of kanji involved in it. Like, yeah, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to feed it chunks. Here, take little nibbles and then try to do it. See, this is the problem with like these translators, and they're all AI driven. They don't really. No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to translate it into English.
Calyx, バカバカしい。心臓も肺もないだろうに。
Yeah, well, that's not doesn't really mean anything to me. I mean, I know what it sounds like, but I can't translate it. Let's go back here, right? What the? Right, this thing's freaking out. Let's go back. Yeah, I have to switch this. So Japanese to English. There we go. Right, so even though there's no heart or lungs, that's not a proper translation. That's not what he said. But I just want to translate the rest of it. Guys, one day I'll be able to speak Japanese, and then I'll be able to do this properly translated. I've been checking to see if my lovely Japanese friend is online. Or not. Sad face. I was overconfident in my predictions. I should have challenged with a more overwhelming difference in power. That's not like me. That's not like me. Yeah, well, he did kind of say that, didn't he? I mean, he did kind of like a rash decision. Yeah, that's not like me. It's a rash decision. Yeah. Don't forget, Ors don't exist. So they have to translate it into something different. So I need somebody who speaks Japanese to do this. I don't think I'm going to be able to get any further in that regard. So I need to go back in that regard. So I need to change my thing back. Yeah, I can't make any more with that translation, unfortunately. But yeah, we got the word that we wanted, the Winterer. So Winterer is a word that, although or doesn't exist. Again. Elvis, I was able to sleep kind of after a couple of hours. My mind was still stirring with ideas and I was just too exhausted at that point, so... But let's think about this for a second, right? Let's go back to theory mode here for a second, right? So, let's look at this real quick. Oh, I closed the chat. Dang it. There we go. Okay, so a rash decision, yeah. So the Winterer part is the main thing they were focused on, and the fact that your man here is showing up. Now, I've already said I can't tell who this person is. We know he's an Ascian because he's dressed like an Ascian, but unfortunately, all the Ascians all dress the same, and their only differentiating mark is their masks. But let's think about that for a second. Who is on the board? So let's look at that for a second, right? Which Ascians are or are not on the board? So let's look at this for a second, right? So we have a few Ascians who are on the board. The first one is Pastorat. So, if I could spell properly. Pastorat is the first one that was on the board. He's one that we saw in that cutscene around Reborn, and we never saw him afterwards. He is probably the most likely candidate. The second one will be Altima. Now, Altima is less likely because we saw her mask dangling from the hip of Gaius Baltar. So we know at least one incarnation of Altima was destroyed by Gaius Baltar, but it's more than likely they created another one. And the reason I say that is because there is another Ascian on the board, Emeroloth. Now, Emeroloth... No, guys, it's entirely possible they're all working together as well, yeah. Now, in regards to Emeroloth, you might not remember this, but if you played the Eureka side content, you may remember Emeroloth was actually involved in that storyline, but Emeroloth was entirely disintegrated and or destroyed when Galuf transported the Isle of Val and sealed it away to keep it from Ascian hands. However, Emeroloth was recreated just in time for the big meeting of all the Ascians, Overlords and Unsundered. So those events happened before, and then he was recreated. So Emeroloth came back, and Emeroloth, as far as we're aware, was still active then, up until the latest point. The next one would be Halmarut. So Halmarut is the other one that is also on the board. Another person that we saw, but we never really got much info on. And he only appeared in that one cutscene during 2.3 or something like that. And, oh sorry, no, there's another one, Dudalaphon. So Dudalaphon is the other one then. But his mask was also dangling off the hip of Gaius Baltar. So let's venture for a moment. And let's try and eliminate this list, right? So let's think about who this Ascian is. I'm going to mark Dudalaphon and Altima off the list. So I'm going to say that both of their incarnations were destroyed by Gaius Baltar, and the Ascians had not gotten around to creating their replacements. They were busy with the rejoining. They probably just didn't have time. And don't forget, by that point as well, they'd already lost La Hebrea and Igiorim. So they'd already lost another incarnation, so there was 3 Ascians already dead. So they'd lost a lot of actual staff. So I don't think they would have gotten around to recreating them. I mean, they would have been desperate for more staff because they lost 4 people. But yeah, I think we'll leave them down as being eliminated, right? A lot of the Ascian overlords currently had their own plans and ideas on how to do things separate from the Unsundered plans. That's certainly true. Don't forget about Nabriales. Nabriales kind of acted on his own in order to attack the Warrior of Light and kidnap Infilia. He did that of his own accord, because he was more of the warrior guy, you know. He directly confronted the Scions without the approval of the other Ascians, because don't forget, he fought us entirely on his own, and he was defeated on his own. If the other Ascians knew that was happening, they would have backed him up. But they didn't. Nabriales just saw a chance to eliminate the Warrior of Light, and took it, and he paid the price for it. Okay, so what will happen now that there will be a catalyst for the Warrior of Light to go to wherever we go in 8.0? Find out Calyx escaped or just another adventure with Wyrmville? We discount reborn Ascians that were born within the dome when the time bubble happened. Just a crazy idea that came to me. No idea, however, they would have descended to Asciancy. Now, don't forget, Elvis, don't forget, there is a particular method of recreating a overlord or a sundered Ascian. They find a soul incarnation or a sundered incarnation of one of their comrades who are reincarnated on all the reflections similar to ourselves, and then they gift that individual, who is entirely reborn as a separate individual who has no idea about the Ascians or the Convocation or the Ancients or anything else like that. So their soul is reborn, they have their own personalities. So Amon is the prime example. Amon was born, he lived his life, he had dreams and ideas about the past, but he just thought it was just figments of his own imagination. He just thought about it, stuff like that. Maybe it was just coming to him, it was just dreams essentially. He didn't realize they were real until he was gifted the memories of Fandaniel. But don't forget, the memory crystals don't contain memories. Well, they do, but specifically, the memory crystals were creations of the Unsundered Ascians after the Sundering. Because the Sundering happened, the three Unsundered escaped the Unsundering, and their colleagues were all sundered, and then they realized that their colleagues started to reincarnate on the other reflections and the source. So they found their sundered comrades who were already grown up into their own people with their own personalities, their own dreams and stuff like that. And they told them about themselves in the past. And the other person would have just went like, say for example, let's take Amon as a great example. As I said with Amon, he grew up dreaming about his past life as Fandaniel / Hermes. But he just thought they were dreams. Then, one day, while he was Amon, serving in the Algan Empire, MSQ appeared and said, we want you to become the next Fandaniel. So apparently the other Fandaniel that came before him likely passed away, because thousands of years have passed at this point. Now, they gave Amon the memories of Fandaniel, but pretty much they're not the actual memories of Fandaniel. These are memory crystals created by the three Unsundered Ascians based upon their own memories of their comrades. So they gave them what they remembered about their comrades. So this is why these Sundered Ascians act a little differently. Because they actually are their own people, they have their own personalities, but then they're gifted the memories of a person who they used to be once upon a time. And then they're actually just a unique individual who actually has the memories of a former person who used to live long ago. So that's essentially 101 how you create an Ascian Overlord. So every incarnation would be entirely different, because they actually grow into maturity as their own person. They're gifted these memories, they're gifted power and aether to become an Overlord. So, and don't forget, the crystals are now gone. We collected all the crystals in the facsimile of Amarot. We gave the crystals to Elidibus, And I can't remember what happened to the crystals afterwards. The crystals either disappeared with Elidibus, or we left them on top of the tower. I don't actually remember. I don't remember. I don't remember what happened to the crystals. Yeah, Xenos is something else. Xenos is actually he is a reincarnation of an ancient. We don't know which one, but he had memories of the final days in his dreams, similar to how these other incarnations had memories of their past as well. We don't know exactly which one Xenos was, but I think he was something unique. I think he was probably just a random. Take with that what you will. Now, all I remember is the crystals giving Elidibus the memories of Elpis. They kind of gave him that, but Hytlodeus didn't really. But Hytlodeus, don't forget, Hytlodeus was the creation of M itself based upon his memories of Hytlodeus. Now, let's see. And don't forget, like, for example, the Telophoroi are an offshoot of the Ascians, run by Fandaniel. But who's to say they were the only organization? That was Fandaniel's organization, which he's founded with Xenos. But other Ascians may have made their other organizations that split off from the Ascians as well. So, yeah, there's that. Maybe he saw our Ascian crystal, so maybe there is something there he wants. It's possible, but the crystal that we have is unique in two aspects. The crystal that we have was created by Emmet Selk, which embodied the memories of the original Azem based upon Emmet Selk's own memories. So, back when they created the crystals, right? The three Unsundered created the crystals for the Convocation members based upon their three memories of all of their former comrades. But they decided not to create a crystal for Azem because Azem left the Convocation and they didn't feel necessary to create a crystal for him, which is probably their mistake. Had they been able to create a crystal for Azem and proceeded along actually resurrecting him like that, maybe things would have worked out differently and the Warrior of Light never would have come to pass and the Ascian's plans would have been uninterrupted. Makes you think, doesn't it? But Emmet Selk was the only one that created the crystal for Azem as a method of conjuring the memories of Azem, but he also put his own spells into it as well based upon his memories of Azem. Now, the crystal was augmented by Hydaelyn in order for us to be able to freely channel the ability to summon heroes from other worlds and summon souls from other worlds as well. Maybe they want to make a fake Azem using that, like Calyx made a fake Sphene. No, Daniel, you're incorrect. It does have the Traveler's Incantation, but it has Emmet Selk's memories of Azem as well. It's just they're not any real use to us. Maybe one day they'll be used to us, but the crystal actually does have memories of the original Azem, but specifically Emmet Selk's own memories of Azem, of what he remembers of him, because he was Azem's friend back in the day. So it does have the incantation. You are correct with that, but it also has his memory. Not his actual memory, but Emmet Selk's memory, as I just said. Going back to here for a second. Sekenda said something there. When he saw our Azem crystal, so maybe there is something that he wants. He stated it. It was stated very early. It was stated around the times that we started learning about the crystals. When was it said? I can't remember exactly when it was said, but it was definitely said. But yeah, just going back to this for a second. What if that's it? What if there is something Azem knew about? So don't forget, Azem was his own individual back in the day. We are his incarnation, but we only have his soul. We don't have his memories. Perhaps there's something in the crystal that maybe has significance to Calyx and maybe their plans. It's entirely possible. The original Azem knew something highly important, yeah. Let's think about that for a second, because Azem did his own thing. He didn't side with the Convocation, he didn't side with Hydaelyn, but he made his own plans. What if there was a third faction? Just think about that for a second. What if there was a third faction? Maybe Azem had plans of his own. We're all going by the prospect that Azem was just a holier than thou good individual. But perhaps he did have his own agenda. I mean, we know he was they were a good person. But I mean, a good person doesn't just turn down they turn down the Convocation for a reason, but they don't also turn down Hydaelyn. Or not Hydaelyn, they don't turn down Vana. Pastorot, I remember, was mentioned when Fandaniel mentioned Catesis. That would make sense because Pastorot is... Pastorot's got a particular job in that regard. If you look at Pastorot's... I wonder how the Preservation got the key in the first place. The key was brought to the Ninth Reflection by the Milala. The key was passed down by the Milala of the South Sea Isles for generations. And the Milala used the key to escape the calamity of ice on Aetheris. And that brought them to the Ninth Reflection. That's how the key ended up there. And the key was essentially... They could never use it afterwards. So it was just passed down as a relic from a bygone era. Until they realized what it was. And then it was augmented with Electrope in order to make it work. I have half of Dawn Trail blacked out. It's fine. To be frank, there's a lot of stuff that happened. But think about it for a second. I'm still a major proponent of the theory that we're still going to go back in time at some point. So I made a video. Very early into Endwalker. I think we were actually between 7.0 and 7.0. We were between 6.1 or 6.0 and 6.1 at the time. But I made a theory video stating that we're not done with the past. I'll get back to what I was saying there in a second. Daniel, I have a theory regarding the key as well. I've said this theory numerous times already, but my theory was, do you remember the point back in the ancient past where Hythlodaeus said Azem jumped headlong into an erupting volcano? I think he actually used the key, which was probably one of his creations, to prevent the eruption from happening, but he actually abandoned the key or lost the key in the volcano. And then after the Sundering happened, don't forget, when the Sundering happened, physical creations actually survived the Sundering without getting split. They just got displaced between the individual reflections, which is why you see the ruins of Amarot on the first. The key remained in the volcano, and that volcano was actually the volcano located on the South Sea Isles, and the key was actually in that volcano, which is how the Milala, who are native to the South Sea Isles, ended up finding it. That's my theory of how the key ended up there, and why the key is connected to Azem. So that's my theory of why the key resonated in regards to Azem, because it's one of Azem's creations. So that's my theory regarding that. But going back to time travel for a second. We've still been left with a big gap. As Sherry there, Yoshi P mentioned time travel. I think we're going back in time again. So let me show you this for a second. So I have a video to show you. Give me a second. So, or actually, I'll probably have the graphics. Actually, no. Let me show you the video. It's probably easier to show you the video. It has all the stuff in it. So I made this video years ago. So. Okay. So I made this video years ago. Jeez, there's a lot of videos here. Where is it? It was after. I still find that video funny. Let's see. So Void, True to Captain and a Watcher. Before we knew what the Watcher was, the Assassins after Endwalker. Where the hell is it? Where is it? Where the hell is it? Where is it? Yeah, that's probably it, actually. I think this is it. Back when I used to say, how we all trying to explain this. The portal in the Crystal Tower. Yeah. So here we go, right? So my theory was time is actually still moving forward. So there's an active connection between Elpis and the present. That's the portal that we use to travel back and forth to Elpis. I know the portal is there for gameplay purposes, but just stay with me for a second. But I think that time for that portal is actively moving forward as time in the present actively moves forward as well. So as we keep going back, time in Elpis keeps moving forward as well. Eventually, we're going to reach a point where the portal is going to intersect with the final days. And we're going to travel back one day, probably looking for something random. And all of a sudden, we find ourselves in the midst of the final days. Or we travel back, and Azem is standing there, waiting for us. Now, that makes me think that we're going to have some part to play in the overall final days. So we're going to be the ones that are actually helping out in regards to Vana's plan for summoning Hydaelyn, and also maybe thwarting the plans of the Convocation, or maybe fighting the original Zodiac. Because don't forget, there was a titanic battle between Hydaelyn and Zodiac, and Hydaelyn ended up winning. The crystal, I think, has other properties. So the crystal has only been used for one purpose. It was augmented by with Electrope in order for the Milala, or for preservation, to be able to link to another reflection or to absorb Aether from that reflection. However, it's been used for two separate instances. It's been used to connect one reflection to the other in order to absorb Aether, but it's also been used to transport matter and living creatures from one reflection to the other. So it has two purposes that we already know about. And it was used to travel between reflections by the Milala without the Electrope, but they don't know how they did that. To be fair, the only reason it was augmented with Electrope is because they couldn't figure out how to use the artifact in the first place. That's the only reason the Electrope was actually added there. It was added as a controller. But yeah, I feel this is going to happen one day. But I think this all connects back to Azem as well. Like I've said this as well, there's a popular theory of how FF14's story is going to end. And that ending implies that the rest of our soul shards scattered across the reflections are going to be rejoined into us, and we're going to become Azem in the future. And eventually, at one point, we're going to travel back in time and become Azem. And then we're going to proceed on, then we're going to get sundered, and it's going to start all over again. Time loop complete. That's the popular theory. But I still think we're going back. Maybe not only Azem knew something because Azem is us. So maybe if we went back in time and became Azem, we know a lot more than we're actually letting on about. And we know that we can't side with Vana. We know we can't side with the Convocation, which is why we ended up just going and doing our own thing. Time loop. I hate time travel. But it's so hard to kind of properly get time travel into place, but that's my theory in that regard. But we're getting off track now, so we need to go back to this. So we would be like Vana on a whole other level. Pretty much, yeah. So let's go back to Calyx here real quick. I hate and love paradoxes, so do I. Time travel is probably one of the messiest things they ever do in MMOs. FF14's developers, they did a good job with time travel. Their first interaction with time travel was Alexander. They did a good job with that. Their second interaction was regarding the Crystal Tower. It was a little bit messy, but largely it worked. But then they started throwing wrenches in the gears when they started transporting back to Elpis and back and forth and stuff like that. And now that the timeline's a bit of a mess. So I tried to make sense of it as much as I can, but there's still a lot of holes in it. Or to be fair, I just don't understand time travel enough to be able to make proper sense of it. And to be fair, I don't think the developers fully understood time travel either. Yeah, Espeon makes a good point as well. Dudalafon is the inventor. So Dudalafon may have been the one that invented Electrope. We don't know where Electrope came from precisely. We know Electrope stemmed from elements that were located on the Ninth Reflection, likely based upon interactions between Lightning Aether and the Aether of their world, which is what created this unique substance known as Electrope. So, yeah, in terms of that, it's entirely possible that, yeah, Dudalafon is a very good candidate. The only thing we know about Dudalafon is that he was at the meeting. He was killed apparently by Gaius Balsar, but he may have been recreated, but we don't know. So yeah, he is the praiser of architecture and patron of invention. Electrope is mined. That's correct. If you look at Heritage, if you look at the zone outside of Everkeep, you'll notice that there's still Electrope manufacturing and mining still going on. They do mine out of the ground. So you notice the way lightning is kind of pooling in the ground. I think that's part of the process. So it's some weird interaction between the lightning aspected Aether, which is very heavily aspected, and the elements of their world created. In the end, was this essentially what it is a superconductive material that allows electricity and data to transfer, and Aether to transfer at very fast speeds, which is what created the substance known as Electrope. Electrope essentially is just a substance that has its own circuits in it, which allows them to transfer electricity, and transferring electricity is the first point of creating advanced technology. It's a very weird substance. It's a very MacGuffin kind of substance. I'm just happy they brought back primal summonings and Ascians. A lot of people are happy. Based on what I've seen, half the camp is happy the Ascians are back, the other half is not happy the Ascians are back. Your pet peeve is primal is a bit of a mistranslation. Why? What's... They're more like Eidolon. Oh, yeah. Ideals come to life, which fits a lot better. Yeah, so the other name for primals in the games is Eidolon. So that's usually what they've been called in the series. Generally refers to an image, phantom, or apparition representing a spirit or shade. So that's what they've been called in Final Fantasy up until then. Primals is a new term. They've always been called Eidolons. Well, for the most part, they've been called Eidolons. Summons is the other word as well. But Eidolon has been the popular word used in 9, 12. I think used in 12? Was it 12? No, in 13 at least. Icons. Yeah, icons is our... Yes, icons is what the Guardians use. And icon sounds better. Primals is more a Eorzean word. That's what we call them. But I think it's what the Beast Tribes ended up calling them. So that's why we ended up getting the translation for primals. Endless have purpose in something too. Well, the only Endless we really know right now is Calyx. And he seems to be having a nervous breakdown. So we don't know what the story is with him. Let's see that view. Is there anything to be gleaned from that view? Hang on. It's moving too fast. Come on. It's just like, I'm going to kill you. That image is just really spooky. But, yeah, I'm in my own glamour. So, it's just like, whew. I do like how everything lit up, though. I like that. It's just a negative filter that just shows all the colors in negative. But still, it was funny. I enjoyed that. So let's put it all together, right? So we know that the group is called the Winterers. So, I mean, whoever pointed out that the word was capitalized, very good on you, because that was the key, I think. Here we go. Music back. Okay. But we still don't know exactly who it is. We don't have enough pieces to the puzzle to point out who they are. But we do know there's an organization called Winterer. Calyx and this mysterious Ascian are members. We do know there's multiple members who are apparently working on a project of some kind. And apparently, the only reason Calyx lost is because he escalated his plans based upon the others and their developments. So apparently something was being developed, or some plan was in motion, and it was moving so quickly that Calyx had to push his plans forward ahead of schedule. And that's why he's blaming his loss on, essentially. Reminds me of the Thornton Who Are You scene. Oh, I remember that scene, yeah. Maybe Pastorat wants Ascians back as Endless. That's an interesting thought. Let's think about that for a second. Let's think about that for a minute. Would the Ascians like... Oh, hang on. Alright, let's think about that for a second, right? So let's think about that. Souls... Yeah, so an Ascian dies, like the Unsundered die, for example. They died, their Aether returned to the Ethereal Sea. Like, the only reason the Unsundered survived up until this point is because they removed themselves from the cycle of life and death. So, when a being dies in the Final Fantasy XIV universe, their corporeal and non-corporeal Aether rejoins to the Ethereal Sea, which is their soul, essentially. Now, the Unsundered avoided passing into the Ethereal Sea because the Unsundered, don't forget, we think the Unsundered have just been walking around for years, but the simple fact is their bodies have actually been dying a long time. La Habrea is infamous for that. The only reason La Habrea was so weak when we fought him is because he actually has been jumping from body to body to body to body to body for a long time. That's why he was so weak. Now, they removed themselves from the equation of dying because whenever their physical body died, or whatever they were inhabiting died, their soul would go into the rift, which is like the world between worlds, essentially. And they'd sleep there until they needed to reincarnate again, and they'd end up just picking a body out of nowhere and reincarnating in that body. That's how MSQ did it. So, when they finally did kick the bucket, so for example, when La Habrea was destroyed, his his corporeal and non-corporeal aether were absorbed into Thordan's sword via the Eye of Nidhogg. Those eyes were drained / destroyed, so I think La Hebrea's memories and soul and everything else passed into the Ethereal Sea, and then he's done, essentially. The same thing happened to Emet-Selch. When he died, he passed into the Ethereal Sea. However, he was kept in a semi-conscious state by Hydaelyn, we think. And the same thing finally happened to Elidibus after his final part of his corporeal aether was drained out of the Crystal Tower to fuel the portal, and he rejoined the Ethereal Sea. Now, their memories are still floating in the sea, as are their souls. Eventually, those souls would try to reincarnate, which is the nature of life and death in Final Fantasy XIV. Is it entirely possible that these Ascians and Calyx are after the memories of individuals located in the Ethereal Sea? Now, don't forget, the Ethereal Sea of Aetheris no longer has a guardian. Hydaelyn not only served as the Will of the Star, she served as a kind of guardian for the Ethereal Sea as well. If people tried to feck with the Ethereal Sea, she's the one that would help out, because she's strong in the Ethereal Sea. She can't manifest her strength very well in Aetheris, but in the Ethereal Sea, she's pretty strong. Now that she's gone, it's entirely possible that the Ascians are trying to find the memories of the former Ascians, the Unsundered, even the memories of those Ascians who were sundered, or the Convocation members who were originally sundered, for example. Let's think about that for a second. Let's go with a premise, okay? That this Ascian... So let's go with the premise that your man here... Let's go with the premise that he is Dudalaphon, right? So he is the sundered Dudalaphon who disappeared one day and hasn't been seen since the meeting of the Ascians in 2.3, and now he all of a sudden shows up. Don't forget, his memories are just the memories of the Unsundered, how they remembered the original Dudalaphon. The original Dudalaphon was sundered during the Sundering. His soul was split into 14, but his memory passed into the Ethereal Sea, along with the other sundered Ascians. So their original memories pass into the Ethereal Sea, where they sleep in eternal sleep. But what if he's after the original memories of the original Dudalaphon? What if he wants to make himself whole again? So he's after memory, and who's an expert on memory? Calyx is an expert on memory, and reincarnating memory specifically. So what if they're trying to actually get the memories of the original Ascians to embed or reincarnate them into their incarnate bodies here? Maybe they're trying to make themselves stronger. Think about that for a second. What if they try to... Alright, we're going on the premise that, say for Dudalaphon, for example, he was reincarnated one day on Aetheris as I'd say at the time he was probably he was 6 souls in density, which is what most of the people on Aetheris were before the 7th Umbral Calamity. So he was 6 souls strong when he was reincarnated, and then he was given the memories of Dudalaphon. What if he wants to get the rest of his souls back in order to try and make himself into a pure Ascian? So let's think about this for a second, right? The Ardor, which is what the Ascians call the rejoining phenomenon. Rejoining is off the table now, right? So that's no longer a possibility. Let's just say that they can't do that anymore without the Unsundered. It's too much work. They don't have the power of the Unsundered anymore. But what if they want to make themselves pure Ascians again? So, their plan is to team up with a person like Calyx in order to get the memories of their original incarnations. And then they're going to use the key to travel to other reflections in order to get their other soul shards, in order to rejoin those soul shards with their original being, which is definitely possible. We've seen it happen. Keep in mind, we've seen this happen once before. When we bumped fists with Ardbert. And don't forget, Ardbert was not a physical being at the time. He was just his soul. And only we could see him. His soul was wandering around, barely kept in place by corporeal aether. But when he touched us, his soul resonated with us and he was able to rejoin with us. Who's to say that phenomenon could not work for the Ascians? So they could travel to another reflection. Maybe they could kill that single sharded incarnation on another reflection. Their soul would be released, or they could harvest the soul using soul cell technology and then merge that soul into themselves to make themselves even denser. That's a good idea. Because they've shown us now that harvesting souls is definitely possible. Technology is there. Transferring memory is definitely possible. Calyx has shown us this. I like this idea. Okay. So let's recap. These Ascians plan to take their original memories from the ethereal sea. They plan to travel to other reflections using the key in order to take the rest of their souls, or their sundered souls, from the other reflections, and there's 4 left, aside from Aetheris, of course. And once those souls rejoin to themselves, they become a full individual similar to an unsundered. And then combined with Calyx's technology of transferring memory, they're able to transplant their memories onto their now full unsundered soul, and they become a reborn ancient member of the Convocation. I like that. I like that idea. I like that idea. If there was a plan in place, and this is why they need Calyx, and this is why they need the key. Yeah, I like this plan. I like this plan. I like this plan. So, let's try and note this down real quick. So, Ascians. So, sundered Ascians plan. Team with Calyx to recover memory of their unsundered incarnation's memory from ancient Aetheris. Sorry, I can't type properly because my finger is being weird. From Aetheris. Team up with Calyx to recover the memory of their unsundered incarnation's memory from ancient Aetheris. Then use the key to travel to other reflections to find their incarnations, or their sundered incarnations, to have been incarnated. So they use the key to travel to the other reflections to find their sundered incarnations who have been reincarnated. Use soul cell technology taken from Alexandria to harvest the soul from those said individuals. If I could ever type. So they take the souls from those individuals, use Alexandrian technology, aka regulator technology, to graft their merge the harvested souls into their own being, becoming akin to an unsundered Yeah, to an unsundered. Then, finally, use Alexandrian technology, aka regulator technology, to graft their unsundered memory onto their newly reborn unsundered soul equals rebirth of an original convocation member. Right. A new remix of Big Fat Tacos. I've conditioned my mind to not hear Big Fat Tacos, so I always hear Beat the Heart of Sabik. Right, so let's go over this again, right? So let me know what you think about this. So their organization, the Winterers, their ultimate goal is to create unsundered Ascians, because when you're unsundered, they're gone. So they teamed up with Calyx, who has knowledge about memory transference and creating endless. They team with him to recover the memory of their unsundered incarnation's memory from ancient Aetheris that are located in the Ethereal Sea. So they scan the Ethereal Sea, get those memories, and scoop those memories up. Then they use the key to travel to the other reflections. Then they find their single soul incarnations on those reflections. They use the soul cell technology to suck the soul out of that person, which will also then be able to strip away the memory. So hang on a second, right? So they suck the soul out of the person, right? The soul being the soul cell. Then they use Alexandrian technology to wash the soul clean of the memories of that individual that they just sucked the soul out of. Then they merge that soul into themselves, which is definitely possible if those two souls are able to resonate together. That soul becomes a part of them. Eventually, they'll suck up every soul that they required, and then they'll become akin to an ancient of ancient Aetheris, aka an unsundered. Then, using regulator technology, which we already seen has the ability of grafting a person's individual memories when they die onto a new soul and then they're reborn, which is what we saw with Zerulja, for example. They use that in order to graft their unsundered memory onto the newly reborn unsundered soul, and then they become an unsundered. Job done. I like that. I like that idea. Yeah, they wanted evolution. They want to become whole, but they want to become more than just a person's memories of who they used to be. So they're not really a complete individual, which is why they're after their original memories. They should at least do a crossover like they did for FF16 with part 3 of FF7, like a good boss fight. Yeah, but in terms of this subject here, I like how we ended up here. I like this idea. So I like how this is what the Winterers plans. Yeah, I like that. They should at least do a crossover like they did with FF16, with part 3 of FF7 with a good boss fight. I've been thinking about this, to be honest. Actually, just to finish off this stream, let me show you this. I was going to make a video about this at one point, but I don't think I'm going to do it. Or I'm not really sure I'm going to do it. So let's do that just as a finish off to the stream. So hang on. So where is it? I wrote a script about it. Yeah, series antagonists yet to appear in FF14. So I did a list of big bosses that could possibly or not possibly appear in Final Fantasy 14. So let's go through it real quick. Garland is a good example. We have not seen Garland appear in Final Fantasy 14. In terms of bosses, he could make a good boss. We've seen Chaos, which is essentially what Garland is. So Garland turns into Chaos in Final Fantasy 1. So we did see Chaos already, but we didn't see Garland. And Garland's a pretty iconic character in his own right. In Final Fantasy 2, there's Emperor Matthias, which is the Emperor of Palamecia. I don't really know that much about him, but he is a spellcaster, he is a unique individual, he could make an interesting boss fight. 3, 4, 5, and 6 have pretty much already been done. We've gotten so many bosses and so many characters from 3, 4, 5, and 6 that we don't need any more from those games, because we've already seen them. We've already seen Golbez, we've already seen Exdeath, we've already seen the Cloud of Darkness. We don't really need to see any more bosses from those games. They've been tapped out. Now, where 7 is just a hard one. On one hand, 7 makes a lot of sense because the likelihood of us getting a crossover is very high with Final Fantasy 7, because Part 3 after Rebirth is going to come out at some point soon. So a crossover makes sense, but yeah, so everybody would love to see Sephiroth, right? But I can't see them putting Sephiroth into Final Fantasy 14. And the reason I can't is, with FF14's combat system, I don't see it suiting a character like Sephiroth very well. Sephiroth is a very aggressive, a very fast character. He'll stand still for a second and then all of a sudden he's moving like greased lightning, swinging his sword at 1,000,000 miles an hour, doing octa slashes all over the place, and before you even realise what happens, you're dead on the floor, cut into 1,000,000 pieces because he literally just sliced you up. He doesn't... As much as I love Sephiroth, in Final Fantasy XIV's combat system, Final Fantasy XIV's combat system is too slow. It would not be able to make Sephiroth appear to be an amazing character. Unless they filled his encounter with active time events that showed his actual character the ability to move at extremely fast paces, to slice anything he comes across in and two, our combat system is just not suited to baseline Sephiroth. However, it is suited to his other forms. So his rebirth form, his giant form, his one-winged angel form would be very good bosses for Final Fantasy XIV. Those are different kinds of bosses. Like in his one-winged angel form, he doesn't use a sword. He has kind of like limb that he slices with, but he uses a very advanced magic of like summoning meteors from across the solar system, blowing up planets and sort of stuff. That's the sort of thing I'd imagine Sephiroth to be, but baseline Sephiroth with Muramasa, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think our combat system can do him justice. And if they did try to put him in, I don't think people would be very happy, because I don't think they have the ability to do him a proper justice. And I don't think they should even try. Jenova. I've already theorized that Jenova is directly related to Ultima the High Seraph. So I have a feeling that a calamity from the skies is already on the way. I have a feeling, I was already stated in a previous video about Oracite, that Jenova is actually probably the one behind the creation of the Heart of Sabik. So I have a feeling Jenova is going to appear in not the next expansion or the one afterwards. Yeah, I said this in my previous video, so specifically, if you haven't seen it yet, I'll show you. It's... yeah, the next big antagonist of FF14. So if you haven't watched that video yet, watch it. I go over Jenova in that video. So, it's a very good theory. And I think the Heart of Sabik is directly related to Jenova, which is why I think she's going to be the one to appear. The weapons. Now, we've already seen versions of the weapons in 14. However, we haven't seen 7's version of them. Like, for example, the gigantic emerald weapon walking around. I'd love to see something like that. I mean, the weapons that we saw were machine incarnations. They're cool, but they're not gigantic, world-altering weapons. So, yeah. I would love to see that. 8 has some great characters that could be added. Adele and Ultimecia are very, very, very good candidates for boss fights in Final Fantasy XIV. They have characters and skills and abilities that would make them highly, highly desirable to be bosses in Final Fantasy XIV. Especially Ultimecia. Ultimecia has multiple forms. Not only her baseline form, but her final alien kind of form, where her dead form is kind of dangling at the bottom of her, is an amazing boss that would actually be very, very good in Final Fantasy XIV. So, and Adele as well. Maybe Adele could be added and junction maybe one of our allies to herself, similar to how she junctioned Rinoa to herself. Maybe one of our allies gets captured by a creature like Adele, and we have to fight in order to keep our ally alive that's embedded in our chest. That'd be a cool fight. I'd enjoy that. My list is a bit old now for Final Fantasy IX, because Necron has actually already appeared. And you saw yesterday, I was over the moon when Necron appeared. I was so fucking happy. I was so happy. It's kind of sucked how they tried turning E12 into Ultimecia, but not Ultimecia. Yeah, I suppose. Garland is another character from Final Fantasy IX. We didn't really see that much of him. I think we fought him once, but that was it. He mainly just had character developments, not for a boss sort of thing. 10 is the big one though. Sin is iconic. Sin is iconic. The chances of seeing Sin in Final Fantasy XIV are very high. And this is not just because everybody wants Final Fantasy X. I mean, we all want Blitzball. Let's be honest. We want Blitzball in Triple Triad. We want Blitzball in the Gold Saucer. We've been saying this since 2.0. We want fucking Blitzball. But Sin is a very large character. This could be an amazing fight of fighting on the back of Sin. Yeah. Braska's final Aeon Primal, exactly as Daniel said there. Braska's final Aeon would be a very good one. So Jecht with his big sword as the final Aeon would be a great fight. What would Sin be in Final Fantasy XIV? Well, what was Sin in 10? It was a big thing, of course. He was Yu Yevon, but he was like, what was he represented as? The embodiment of it was the embodiment of something. I can't remember. Vegnagun is a great one. If you haven't played 10-2, it's very good. Vegnagun is a very large kind of like, it's like a mechanical Sin essentially. It's a very good boss. Yeah, he's the armor of Yevon, exactly. A big ass primal. 11. We don't need 11 because 11 is already getting its bosses thanks to the Vanadil. That reminds me, I haven't actually done the second Vanadil Alliance raid yet, so look forward to that. 12 has the judges. We've kind of seen judges in 14 with it's like we've already seen Gabranth, but we didn't fight him, did we? Or I don't remember fighting him, but we do know they exist, so that'd be a cool fight. 13, the Orphan and the Fal'Cie is a similar thing, but they're similar to Primals in a lot of ways, so I can't really justify this. Yeah, so I can't really say anything about 13, to be honest. 14 is 14. 15, I haven't played 15. Or I tried to play 15 and I couldn't complete it. I'm sorry. But I just don't understand 15 to be able to answer whether or not its bosses belong in Final Fantasy 14. I'm sorry. 16, however. 16, Ultima. Ultima was an amazing character. I enjoyed Ultima a lot. He was so intimidating looking. He just looked like something that would literally just walk up to you and suck the soul out of your body just because he felt like it. Ultima and his transformations were amazing. So having Ultima in 14, a different version of Ultima, would be really cool. It might not be even called Ultima, it might be called something else. Ultimatus was a good, yeah. And then finally for Tactus was Lee Grimm. most people probably wouldn't recognize what Wyrm is. It was the final boss of Tactics Advanced. So I'll probably be able to show you here. It's very subtle. FF Tactics Advance Wyrm. Yeah, so Remedy, that was the other name, yeah. So she was the main antagonist, but she was a caster. She was very powerful as well. I remember that fight was really hard. But as a boss, she had a really unique character, which I don't have a proper picture of apparently. Come on, there has to be a picture of her. But she was called Remedy as well, but come on, where's Wyrm? Come on. Yeah, it's similar to this. So she had a little like kind of spiritual kind of character, but that fight was really involved. And she transformed herself into all sorts of different forms. Yeah, like that. She's a really cool looking character. It's just, you can't really tell because of the sprites of Advanced, that's why. But it was a very, very good fight. I enjoyed that fight. I still remember that fight fondly, to be honest. So seeing Wyrm in 14 would be great. I think she'd be a very unique fight because she uses a lot of very advanced spells. As I recall, actually, she uses some higher tiered spells of the highest ones that we actually knew about before the game came out. Where is it? She used some really weird spells, didn't she? She absorbed holy damage, yeah. She used a plethora of spells. She used instant death doom, I remember that, yeah. Alpha, descent, and magi, high antimetal damage, yeah. So she used really like weird spells. So yeah, Genesis, Wicca, as powerful as Ultimate, deals massive damage. Omega, Alpha, Descent, yeah, Omega was another spell that she used as well. Law Shift, Amber Gleam, Descent, great boss. An evil Azem villain could make that work. That would be a good point as well. They'd have to decide, because right now Azem's form is dictated by the character gender of your own character. So in order for them to make a dark Azem, they'd have to decide whether or not Azem is going to be male or female, and well, we know what race they're going to be. They're going to be an ancient. But maybe they could make something that looks male and looks female as a dark kind of bastardized version of Azem. I think that would work. But you know what? I think I'm done. I think we've pretty much gone over everything I wanted to go over, and I'm happy where this is. Like, in terms of like the fact that we have no information, this is all speculation, but I'm happier of where this ended up. So Hermes did have an interesting transformation, but his transformation was based on the wind. Yeah, but how do you make an enemy character based upon another character's gender when there's like 8 people in a fight? That's the hard part. I think they'd have to just end up deciding. See, this is the thing. We don't know how Azem is going to finally appear in 14, if they're ever going to appear at all. I think it's likely they are going to appear, but by then they'll have decided what they want to do. And for all we know, Final Fantasy 14 might be in a different engine by the time it's over. All the discussion that last 30-second cutscene sparked has been fun. I know, I love stuff like that though. Like, it was a 30-second cutscene with like 10 lines of dialogue, but we got a lot of information out of it. But based upon everything we saw, I think how we've just, based upon just speculation, what we think about the current game as it is, based upon hints and tips that we saw in 7.3, particularly the soul siphoning, the aether siphoning, I think, and everything else, I think this is a good, this is a good answer to the question based upon the current evidence we have, which is what this video was about. This is what the stream was about, was making an idea, and we've put everything together and we made this. So I like that. If it's a fake Azem based upon fake memories, it could just loop whole or just another robot. What's PBR? Oh, they updated the engine already quite a bit. I don't think they're going to change it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the... Oh, if you're talking about the graphic update, that wasn't an engine update. That was just a graphical update. That wasn't an engine update. At least I don't think it was. So I think the engine is still the same. I'm not really sure. I'm not really good at game development. Or I'm not good at all. I don't know anything about it, to be honest. I know games run off engines, and I know that's pretty much it. I imagine they had to tweak the engine in order to do those, the rendering. But I think the game just, it looked the same and it acts the same, so I don't think they changed the engine. Because nothing else about the game changed aside from the graphics just got an update. Which is what most MMOs end up doing. Most MMOs will use the same engine, but they update the graphics to make it look better. And then eventually, they'll change the engine. But not many MMOs get to a point where they can actually change their engine. Like, as far as I'm aware, World of Warcraft never changed their engine. I think their engine has been the same the entire time. They've updated the graphics, which is what FF14 did, but they didn't change the engine. I think they updated the engine, but that's it. My biggest issue is the slow server tick and 1, 2, 3 combos, which aren't really engine faults as far as I understand it. Yeah, so 4MB. So this is how combat in FF14 works. We send a command from our client to the server. The server processes the command, sends it back to us, and then the action is performed. This is how an MMO works, essentially. So what we're seeing as ping is us sending commands to a server, and the server is responding back to us. That's how our actions are being done. This is how FF14 works, essentially. This is why there was so many problems with having or logging into a server that's so far away, because you have to communicate with a server halfway across the world. That server has to communicate back to you halfway across the world, and by then a few milliseconds have probably passed at that point, and then your ability goes off. It's annoying, but that's just the nature of how you get an MMO to work. Most MMOs do that as well, but it's primarily because FF14 is a server-based game. Other MMOs, some MMOs are client-based. I think WoW is client-based. Don't quote me on that. I think WoW is client-based. And it's commands that are being sent around, or it's commands that are interacting with the server, but not in the same way. It's more like the clients interacting with each other. But I think it's, for FF14, it's a server-based environment. So the server is doing all the interactions between players. So it's communicating with the players and back. So if you communicate with one player, it bounces off the server, bounces back, stuff like that. Rather in client communications. I don't know if that made sense, but that's how I understood how FF14's engine worked. Yeah, that's why they tried to do, they did that because they wanted to avoid hacking and stuff like that as well, but yeah, it didn't really work that well. But yeah, I think I'm going to finish there because I'm exhausted after yesterday. I'm still exhausted. I want to give this hand, I think I'll give it a bath just to see if it actually works out better. My hand is still a bit messed up. So as you know, I broke my hand, so I'm still getting there. Unfortunately, I can't really move my finger that well compared to the other finger, which can move up and down. And as I already said, I lost a bit of finger length as well. Is what it is. I'm just gonna ice this up, I think, and then I should be fine. But yeah, I'm gonna think about this a bit more. So think about this a bit more, and if you have ideas, let me know. We'll try and put more pieces together. I'll probably do another stream once we get more information, but unfortunately now we're gonna have to wait. It's August now, isn't it? Will we get the next patch 7.4? We won't get it in December. It'd be like 4.5 months, I think. So we'll probably get it mid-January? Maybe? I don't think they give it to us in... What's the cycle now? When was the last patch? Hang on. Patch 7.2 release date FF14. How long ago was March 25th? It was 134 days ago. Just give me weeks, Google, for God's sake. I know that's easy math, but I just don't want to do it. It's 4.4 months. So, what date is 4.4 months from now? What is 4.5 months from today? Yeah. That's Friday, December 19th. Okay, so we might get that in Christmas week. Maybe. I'd say if it's that close to Christmas, I'd say they want to push it out. They'll want to push it out before Christmas, and then they'll enjoy their holidays. Max, you can just watch it again, no worries. But Max, if you want to watch that's what we came up with. So if you want to see what we came up with, that's what we came up with. Don't worry about it. I'll do another stream. But that's the idea we came up with. But you can just watch the stream again. I think I'll cut the video up and I'll do a video about it, I think. I was going to make a video about all of this, but I wanted your guys' input on this because a lot of you know more about lore than I do, or you have better memories than I do at least. So getting your feedback on this allowed this to be possible. So thank you for that. I think it's likely. Christmas week. Yeah. Christmas week. I think that's it. That's a good idea. I like that. Hopefully they do that. So 7.4 on Christmas week is a good way for me to enjoy the Christmas week. I'd like that. Yeah, I've said I'd like that like 50 times. Alright, I'm really ending the stream now. So everybody have a good night. In terms of my next video, I finished the script. Sekenda, I'm going to keep pronouncing your name properly, so don't worry. But thank you for subscribing. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the videos. And I've loads of videos already uploaded, so if you want to look at them, look at them. Particularly my videos that go into particular subjects. So I've gone over a few subjects in the last while. You tuned in because of this one, and that's a good video. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making that video. This one's good though. If you haven't watched this video yet, watch that one. It's a good one. And how a rejoining works is good as well. They're all good, to be honest. I think I'm going to do a Halloween video. Another one. I think I will do another Halloween video, but I haven't really thought about what the Halloween video will be. But yeah, my next video, the script is already done. I'm just going to polish it, and then I'll probably record it on Friday. I just need it to be very quiet in the house, and then I'll record it. But yeah, that next video is coming out. It's going to be unique. It's going to be a unique subject. It's nothing actually recent. It's going back to A Realm Reborn again, kind of. So look forward to that. But other than that, yeah, everybody have a good night, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Ah, I shouldn't have punched my vent. That hurt. Okay. Good night, guys. Have a good one.